the advice that you would
Mhm.
give that college student right now that's about to graduate, about to go out in the real world, about to go back home, or really just trying to figure out what they want to do? What's some
Mhm.
advice you would give them?
It's a number of things. One, if you can, go back home and live with your parents and save up money. Because, because
Facts.
I've been talking to people, I've been learning stuff as I get older. I thought I was the coolest person in the world leaving my house at 17 and going to go live in the real world. No, we're us and probably our Latin brothers and sisters are kind of one of the only groups that kind of just send their kids out there and say, go figure it out. It makes no sense financially. It puts us actually behind the eight ball, which we already are behind if you want to get into this different stuff. So
Yeah.
if you can, swallow your pride, go stay with somebody who's going to either give you rent for dirt cheap or for free while you figure out what it is that you want to do, and or while you're accumulating revenue, so that way you can save it, put it into different investments, and then you do that for 3 to 5 years, and when you're ready to go live on your own, you have accumulated a lot of money and you can actually go live life the way you want to. There was a lot of times where I struggled where I didn't need to because I was just living on my own, trying to kind of keep up with the status quo of having my shit together.
Boy, I guess it's a whole lot, man. So right now we are in episode 6 of a Fun Life podcast. Welcome back. I'm sitting with Houston Haynes, California native, Palmdale to be exact.
Yes,
Say what's
sir.
up.
What's good, everybody? I appreciate you bringing me onto the show, my guy. I'm excited to get in this conversation.
Yeah, man. You know it, man. It's one of my close friends from Colorado State. If you didn't know, I just went to college at.
Yeah.
Met a bunch of good people. Houston being one of the best of those good people that I met. Give me a background about California and what it's kind of like growing up there, and what the things that you experienced and that kind of shape what you want to do with your life.
Yeah, absolutely. California is very different, I'll say, from other places that I've been for sure. Growing up, it's real diverse. It's also interesting, kind of like the dynamic between growing up out here versus like people who move out here too. Because I'll say sometimes it's harder to kind of make it or get yourself established out here in California, specifically Los Angeles area, being from here versus somebody who's not, just because when you're here, you don't typically see all the opportunity that's here
Yeah.
all the time versus like somebody who's like, go, I'm from the Midwest, never seen nothing my whole life. Huh?
The TV?
Oh, it's loud. My bad. My bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I guess man's over playing Blast and
I like to put a little R&B on, you know what I'm saying, in the background. I didn't know.
God damn,
Did you
man.
put it right? I didn't even know you could. I didn't know anybody could hear that. That's on me. My bad.
Damn, let's see how you handle it. Okay. Growing up in California, what's that like? What is it like in the spring?
It was cool. So I appreciate you saying Palmdale, California, not Los Angeles, because we are not from the same area. Our Los Angeles people are way different from Palmdale. I grew up in the suburbs, not from the streets of LA. Don't know nothing about that life. Play around with it sometimes, but I just had to clear that air real fast.
Okay, good. Palmdale.
Everything I know about LA, I learned these past 2 years living in here in Inglewood. But I'm from Palmdale, California. It was cool growing up out there, though. Suburban life, real cool. Grew up in a 2-parent household. Had a lot of brothers and sisters. Me and my twin are the youngest of 7. Our birthday is Monday. Actually, we'll be 27 years old. Finally,
Man.
getting
Happy early
into the
birthday,
late
Houston.
20s. Appreciate that. Getting
Definitely.
into the older group. But growing up out there was cool, man. It was definitely we grew up in a very diverse neighborhood, predominantly white area. Palmdale was at the time. It's definitely, the demographic has changed a lot since then. But I loved it. I love the fact that we grew up playing outside. We was just talking to somebody the other day about how that life living where you used to be at the inside the house before the street lights on and stuff like that, and how kids nowadays don't really that I know of really get to experience that life a little bit. But it was cool. It was cool, very diverse. Real kind of, I wouldn't say slow, because after going to Colorado, it's slower than LA, being in a small town in California. But I enjoy my upbringing for sure.
Okay. That's I guess not what I expected, because I really thought you grew up in LA. So now I'm getting the difference between LA and Palmdale.
Yeah.
I came out there, I was in Inglewood or whatever. But what gravitated you towards football? Because if you guys don't know, Houston is about 6'5". You know, you're a basketball player. I don't understand why he's playing football. But
so
what made you take to that?
That's funny that you say that. Here's 2 reasons why. Number 1, I've always liked, my apologies.
It's straight, bro.
Technical issues here.
Matter of fact, hold on real fast.
There we go.
Let me tell you. Yada. We back.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. We getting into it. Why you don't play basketball, but you 6'10"?
Bro, people ask me that all the time. I would argue that my family was actually supposed to be a football family, and I probably should have been one of the only ones to play basketball. But here's what happened. I grew up playing basketball. I was taller than everybody, so they made me a center. Get to high school, I'm like, I don't know no 6'4" centers in the NBA at all.
Yeah.
Can't really dribble like that. Can't really shoot. I can go get you some rebounds and stuff like that, but I just made the business decision, like, I'm a bigger player in football. I'm just gonna stick to this. But the whole reason why I started playing football in the first place, largely because of my older brothers, but a little bit too, I grew up, I was a very skinny kid, very small, and I saw football players that was big. I was like, oh, I want to be like those guys. And then started playing some more. I really like hitting. Like, I like just showing kind of like that you're tough and everybody, because being skinny, people are always going to try to try you and stuff like that. So I loved the fact that, like, if I felt like somebody thought they was better than me, or if I felt like I was better than somebody, like in football, you can go and you can prove that. Like, I love that, one-on-one matchups and different stuff like that. Like, growing up, I played DB a lot. Reason why for that one too, a little bit because I couldn't catch. I'm not gonna lie to you like that, but also the deciding factor was watching football at the time, because this is kind of a new era now.
Yeah,
I used to watch receivers go across the middle and get smacked, and I was just like, I'm not trying to be that guy. I want to be the guy hitting those dudes coming across the middle. So I was like, I want to play DB.
making decisions at an early age.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, it's just that don't seem fun. If I grew up in this era, I would have for sure played some receiver, because now they let people go across the middle. You can go up top wherever you want to go. You get touched the wrong way, they're gonna call the penalty on it. So it's a lot safer. But we was growing up, it's crazy how much football has changed.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
literally a passing game.
Right, like absolutely. But yeah, so I say I fell in love with it. I've been playing contact football since we were 6 years old. I think had a fun time in youth football. High school was a good time too. But I really fell in love with like the camaraderie aspect of it. And then, like I said, the fact that like football teaches you a lot of life lessons. And one of those being, like, if you got an obstacle in front of you, the best way to do is go through it. Like, that's all. You can't shy away from it. You can't run away from it. Whatever the issue is in your face right now, you got to address it. And that's what football taught me. That's why I fell in love with it, for real.
Okay, so when did you realize, what point of your high school career did you realize, maybe I can do this at another level? I can do this at the college level.
I say, honestly, my sophomore year. So freshman year, had a cool year, whatever. Because of my age, I didn't get pulled up to varsity during the playoffs, because that's typically what they do out here for us. Like, the best freshman players get to go travel with the varsity team. But I was 13 at the time, so they didn't let me. And then going into sophomore summer, they kind of had me playing with the JV a little bit, and I was not a fan. I think I did like one passing league tournament with them. I was like, nah, this ain't it. So, I competed, worked hard, got onto the varsity spot, and then sophomore year, our starting corner and slot receiver, he got injured. And I beat out the dude that was in front of me for the starting corner spot, and I started playing. We had some D1 guys on that team, and that's when I started realizing, like, yeah, I could probably do something here, huh?
I could do this. I could
Yeah,
do this.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I play cornerback, and like I said, I was really making business decisions. I'm like, I'm about 5'9" right here. I'm looking at my brothers, and I'll probably get about 6'2", 6'3", and I'm like, that's kind of prototypical corner type. So I'm like, I like it. I could do this. It's fun. I could go to the league playing this thing. And so, yeah, it was, I'd say my sophomore year for sure.
So you actually didn't take the traditional route and go and jump right into, I guess, D1 football. You took the JUCO route.
Yeah.
Tell me what that is like. Tell me what the JUCO life is like. I hear stories all the time. Tell me what it's like, and tell me, I guess, that ultimate decision that made you go to Colorado State.
Okay, got you. So, high school, the recruiting scene didn't go the way I wanted it to. Senior year was a cool year for me, but I didn't have the summer that I wanted to, largely because I wasn't able to go to the different camps that I got invited to just because of financial situation, different things like that. And then the high school, the coaches kind of did weird stuff with recruiting. So I had a couple D1 AA offers out of high school, but I felt like I was better than that. So I decided to go the JUCO route. Initially, I was going to go to the school called Laney College up in Oakland. So I had myself set up to be ready for early graduate, but when December came and them offers didn't, I was like, oh. So I stayed in high school as long as I could. Ended up, I just didn't have no more work to do around like right before spring break of my senior year. So I went up north to Oakland, was going to go enroll in junior college up there, ended up getting injured. So I came back home for a year. And then 2013, I actually went to Pierce College, and that JUCO life is, especially on the West Coast, is like none other. Like I'm over here, we sharing rooms, I'm sleeping in people's. So the first year I stayed at my mom's best friend's house out there in the valley, sharing a room with her son. And then my second year, I actually stayed in the living room with these 4 girls, Cash, Maggie, Bree, and Betty.
Well, that's Maggie, Bree, and Betty.
I love them. They're my sisters. I owe y'all a lot of my life, man. Y'all some real ones for that. I stayed on the couch, bro, for a cool minute, and then finally upgraded, moved to one of my teammates for a little bit, and we shared a room. It was a decent apartment. But when you talk about the JUCO struggle and the grind, especially in California, there's no housing. There's no, like, aside from if you're a California resident, your schooling is free, but like you don't have no other income. So I was working at Starbucks, did the morning shift like 4 a.m. to 12, and then I'd go do my classes and go to practice and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was a grind. And then like the football piece of it, though, it's really like playing high school football. People are just bigger and a little bit better. It wasn't as fast as the Division I level by any means of the imagination. Like it was cool. It was fun. My first year there, we had a great team, so that mess was solid. But when I tell you that grind off the field is nuts, like I was going to work, having to go to,
you was 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 4 a.m. shift. I still remember
3:45.
Huh?
I said, well, 3:30, 3:45, getting up there.
Yeah, because at Starbucks, yeah, that was nuts. So I worked from 4 to about 12. I go to school, take a couple classes. We would have our practice would be around like 3 to 5. And then on some days, I would have night classes, which is the 7 to 10, 3-hour joints once a week. Ooh, that was a grind. That was a real life grind. And then after a while, I picked up this valet job, which had me working graveyard shifts. So, but like their stories of like people on our team, it was 7 people to a 2-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. You got dudes like it. It's like nothing else. Like JUCO will really make you realize whether or not you actually want to do what you're saying you're going to do. Like I saw a lot of dudes come from out of state, get to California, fall in love with the quote unquote California lifestyle, stop playing football altogether, end up having to go back home, or just get there and realize like this is not for me. So they go home. So like the outside factors of football playing JUCO is going to really test whether or not you really say you want to do this football thing. So it was a situation like none other. I actually first year there we went 9-2, won a bowl game. Second year there, I actually had to get arthroscopic hip surgery because I had a hip impingement, so I had to sit out that year. And the third year, that's when I played with me and my homeboy Malik. I was playing safety; he was D tackle. And funny thing about Colorado State, so I had a offer from UTEP, and I committed early. Thank God I didn't go there because the dude who recruited me, the semester I would have got there, he left and went to Boise State. And I didn't know nobody in Texas El Paso. I wasn't even trying to, but I was like, they got me, whatever. And
I mean, I really know from UTEP is, I guess, Aaron Jones.
Yeah, and I think no, he didn't go there. Did
I think Aaron, all I know is Aaron Jones, running back.
What's the name go for the DN for the Browns? He wasn't at UTEP. He was, where did he go to school?
Who?
For the big teddy bear looking
Myles Garrett?
Yeah. Where's he at? It was some big D lineman that I know that went there and ended up going to the league or something like that. But I don't think it was him.
A&M?
Huh?
The Texas A&M?
I might be hella tripping with that, but I don't.
Yeah, you might be tripping.
Yeah, but
hella tripping. Cali lingo, hella tripping.
Little Cali lingo. But nah, it was cool. And then so Colorado State was actually recruiting my boy Malik Forrester to go there, and I met Coach Fair. Just happened to be at the right place at the right time. They started looking at my film, talking to me a little bit. I went up there, seen the school, met the coaching staff and everything like that. I liked it. I also liked that it wasn't UTEP. And so I ended up.
Man. Shout out.
You said what? Oh, shout out Coach Fair. Absolutely. Great guy, man. I hope he's doing well.
Great dude, man.
He is.
Hey, JD fan. Look.
You know what's up? But yeah, so I ended up committing to Colorado State, and we got there and did what we did. My homeboy Malik actually ended up going to Fresno State. I don't know why. We smacked him, I think, both years.
Yeah, we tweeted.
But they nice now, I guess. But
I watched another day. They decent. Yeah. I do like them. So tell me, you get to Colorado State now from your JUCO. Big difference clearly in living situations and scholarships and all that good noise. But tell me what you kind of experienced when you first got to Colorado State. The culture shock, the environment, how low it was compared to California, etc.
Yes, sir. So everything was different. First of all, I'm from Palmdale. It gets cold out there, but like on our coldest day, it's like the 30s and it's windy. It's bad. But I'm used to a little bit of altitude. So when I got there, actually, I did like one workout, hurt my hamstring, went to see and this is like before people were on campus or whatever. Went to see the training staff. They did some stuff with me. And then they found out that I actually have a sickle cell trait. So it's a trait where your blood cells sometimes can become oddly shaped if they're not getting the proper oxygen. So it's kind of like the sickle cell disease, but it's not fully the disease. So I actually had to sit out for like 2 weeks until they were able to know that like I was healthy enough to play out in the altitude because you're so high up there. But that was probably the first thing that I noticed. I'm like, oof, it's ain't, because Palmdale's up high, but like Fort Collins, that's way high. I'm like, dang, I can't breathe. Like I'm in shape and the stairs is kicking my ass right now. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah. It was that. And then I woke up the first day of school. I'll never forget. I looked at my phone. It was 1 degree outside. I texted my mom. 1 degree.
Still going to class, still going to practice.
Right.
1 degree. That is nuts.
I texted her. I was like, I'm coming home. I can't. This ain't it. This is not what I signed up for. And we were staying in, me and the homie Keith, because we signed late. They weren't able to find us housing off campus. So our first semester, we had to stay in the dorms. We stayed in the academic village, which is across that big old field where we would have our weight room sessions and practice and stuff.
Nice. So nice dorms.
Yeah, it was a nice dorms. I'm not gonna lie, it was cool. We was chilling. We had a bathroom in our dorm, so we wasn't, what I'm saying, it was cool. But that walk, there's a couple times that we had to walk in like blizzard-like weather. It felt like, I remember one time we make that walk across the field. We get there, we do the workout, and then we find out school and stuff was canceled. I was high. I'm like, dang, I gotta come back across there. So that was the weather was nuts, and then most of all the culture was different. Like I said, I'm from Palmdale, California, and largely like LA, it's a very diverse area. You got people from all life, all different backgrounds and stuff like that. So coming to Colorado, I'll never forget in our Black people in sport class, a girl raised her hand and was like, "This is the most diverse place I've ever been." I was like, "Bro, what?" Like, because I legit, that wasn't an athlete. I didn't see my first Black person till about a week into the school year. That wasn't an athlete being at Colorado State. So that was huge culture shock for me because I'm like, dang, I'm really like, they wasn't kidding when they said we like the minority groups here. Like, it's
Yeah,
not that big.
close, man.
So it was nuts. But also there too, I cannot discredit the professors I had who taught me a lot about my own history, my own culture. Dr. Bemper, for sure, being one of them, learned a lot about Black history and like what it is to be Black, what is Black culture, what that means. I learned, ironically, a lot at a PWI because growing up where I grew up, I'll say I grew up in a very colorblind society. So whereas a lot of people that I realized later on in life from the East Coast and like the upper Midwest, they're usually like, I'm talking like Philly specifically, dudes from down south and stuff like that. Their history of who they are is kind of ingrained in them at a younger age. Whereas our family, our parents didn't really talk too much about it. It has a lot to do with our faith too, which is a whole nother, I don't know if you want to get in because
it's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But it's very much so we're kind of all one under the eyes of God, which sounds good and great, but like I don't know nothing about my people. Like I don't know what's going on. Like we're not learning nothing like that. And so Colorado was a very experience. So like on one hand, I'm looking at like overt racism in my face a lot of times, and I'm seeing what it feels like to kind of be the odd man out in certain situations. But on the other hand, I am learning a lot about who I am, what it means to be Black, and everything like that. So it was a very interesting concoction and situation for me, but definitely grateful for it. And I had a good time there, man. It was solid.
I definitely had a good time. Man, we had classes together too.
Yeah. Yep.
So tell me, we are now probably a year in at Colorado State. We playing ball, and we was on pretty good football teams there at Colorado State.
Yeah.
But now we're kind of ending that era. You got there in 2015, and we graduated in
2016. I got there 2016
in
the winter, and then left 2017 in the winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
seasons, yeah. I want you to explain to me what that growth did for you, and how did that growth turn into your service trip in Jamaica?
Sure. So I'll say first things first, football wise, when I got there, I was kind of on the fence of like whether or not I really loved playing the sport. Cause like I said, JUCO will test you, and I kind of realized like, I don't know if I really love it like that, but I got the scholarship. Let me just go make the best out of the situation. I quickly found out that unless you're like top 1% talent, you can't fake the funk loving football. It's just not that type of sport. So I didn't really play too much at all. A little bit of it was injury, but a lot of it was just the fact that like being real with myself, I had potential to grow. I didn't really tap into it as much as I should have because the love for the game wasn't there. I loved when I sat back and like reflected on it. I loved everything that came with the game of football. I didn't necessarily love playing football itself. And largely that for me personally does have to do with the injuries because like it's not fun when like, especially me, I like hitting and I'm got shoulder neck injuries. I'm like, I can't really do this how I want to. So it's very frustrating. Yeah, it's like so it's like it's not, it wasn't as fun no more. But at the same time, I'm thinking like I made a commitment. I'm gonna make the best out of the situation. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me that kind of showed proof to me with that was senior night. Coach Bobo came to me, pulled me aside. He was like, "Yo, you're the only person I've ever seen get votes to be a captain, and you didn't play." And that kind of spoke volumes to kind of who I was. Because I remember distinctively at some point making the decision, like, bro, you're not playing, but you're here. They're paying for your school. You're getting to go on these trips. You might as well make the most out of your situation. Have fun with it. If you can't be out there on the field, you're damn sure you're good at, you have knowledge, you know the game. You can for sure help the younger guys out. You can for sure give a good look where you need to. So I think for me, the biggest takeaway I've learned playing football, especially at Colorado State, is understanding your role and doing it to the best of your ability. as far as like school and stuff like that, I say with the Jamaica trip, I've always kind of had a heart to help people. That's just kind of always been my thing, and I love traveling. So when Dr. Bimper came up with the Green and Global idea and told us what it was, that was kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm like, we get to go to Jamaica, and I get to go see, you know, a new country, experience that, and then help some people out along the way. I mean, that's been ingrained in me since I was little. My dad would take us. We either were helping somebody move some chairs, move somebody in a house, going to speak to some kids, or, you know, whatever it was. Our dad always had us making sure that we're servicing others in any type of way. So I come from that type of background regardless. Like my first thing when I meet people is kind of like a, how can I help you? What do you need from me? Type of mindset. So when I got the opportunity to do that, when we got to go out there, it was great. And it was a very eye-opening experience too, to kind of see, one, how vastly different like Black people are around the world, but also how similar our cultures are, just from the identity of like us being Black and like us being able to kind of like coexist with each other. Like on the surface level, I wouldn't know nothing about Jamaica, but like when you go and you
feel
interact,
the tie though.
yeah, you feel it.
So.
Exactly. You feel it. You feel the love. Sure, there's a few people there. I was like, I probably would have thought you was a Jamaican yourself. I'm like, but like that's just the chemistry we got with our people wherever we go. And so that was a very, very great experience. Mama Staple, she was our house mom.
Staples, man.
Hey, wonderful host. I loved her. They opened up their homes to us. They kind of just we got to learn a lot about the culture. And then just learning about neo-colonialism, how that affects people's economies and different things like that. But then also how appreciative other groups are outside of America. Because I'll say we're a very individualistic culture out here, and we're very much so me and mine. Out there, it's very much so us and the group and stuff like that. Even like one starting thing that I noticed was their national anthem differs from ours. We're like, or not even the national anthem. I think it's the pledge, one of the two. But like ours is very much so to a flag, which is supposed to symbolize who we are, our identity, and stuff like that. Whereas theirs is very much God first, and whether or not you believe in God or whatever, that's one thing. But then also our love for our brethren and each other, and you see that in their culture all the time. Like if you need somebody's gonna help you out, and everybody's just kind of there for each other. And then another thing that I noticed too was like it's easy to look at somebody's situation and say that somebody's less fortunate than you, but then when you're in that situation with them and you're living it, it's like it's really not. It's just they have a different way of living their life. Our stuff might be yeah, exactly. Their normal is just different from our normal. We're used to living life a certain way, but that doesn't make us better or less than anybody. It's just different. And I thought that was a really cool thing to learn and realize while being out there.
Okay, so with the service trip being done and then we graduate, you're now back in Inglewood, being everything that you just said. What would you say your purpose is right now? What would you say you're passionate about right now? I mean, I can hear it in your voice when we just talking about Jamaica service trip and talking about you being a captain for the team and not really playing, but still getting your votes in. I kind of know the gist, but I want you to tell me what your purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny you asked that because I'm realizing right now I'm in a very unique stage in my life to where I'm trying to piece together what my exact purpose is. I know for a fact that my purpose is in some way, shape, or form helping people on a high level, not necessarily like one-on-one stuff like that. So my purpose and what I'm passionate about is helping those, creating opportunities for others. And so right now I'm in a stage where I'm kind of like figuring out what's the best, most effective way to do that on a grand scale. It's funny you asked that. So when I left Colorado State, I started working in corporate America for a little bit. I worked at 2 startup companies, which startup culture is pretty dope. It's very interesting. I was at Bird, the electric scooter company, and then this company called Cloud Kitchens, which is like a delivery service company or whatever. But it was interesting because I was there, I was making good money, but I felt like I was not doing what God called me to do. Like I said earlier, I'm a big man of faith, and I listened to this podcast my homeboy gave to me. It was called Transformation Church, and they called it Crazy Faith. And it was basically just talking about how him living life through faith over fear and like understanding like the false realities that we try to create with job security and different things like that allowed him to live the best life that he's ever had. And so over, I think it was like 2018, I'm listening to this and I'm like, man, I'm really not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I really want to be helping people. So over like 2 years of grappling back and forth with that, I think that might have been 2019. 2020, I made the decision to leave my corporate job and do personal training full time. Personal training was interesting choice for me, but it kind of made sense in my mind because, like I said, I'm always one who's always been around fitness my whole life. I even realized about a month or so ago, I remember when I was a kid, I came across this like business plan that my dad and his brother had for a gym. And I'm like, I completely forgot about that. But like
Wow.
I kind of revealed that to me. Yeah. And I'm just like, it's always been kind of what I do. And so I realized like I'm not necessarily sure what I want to do, but I know I can help people with this personal training thing. So I know I can do that. So initially I was going to go private right off the bat. Then I was talking to my brothers and stuff like that. And they kind of talked me into doing this, working at Equinox. It's a high-end gym out here, which incredibly thankful for. It was a wonderful experience. I learned a lot. However, I was there for 2 weeks and then the pandemic happened and I got let go. So I went from making very good money to like, all right, now where's the income about to come? Because I don't got, and like Lord, I trust you. Like, what's going on? And so that was interesting for me because I felt like the pandemic, although it was very tragic and it's still tragic for a lot of people, for me personally, it was kind of a blessing in disguise in the sense of when you're talking about living a life of true faith, like really like I'm going to be out here straight on belief and confidence in the creator and in myself that I'm going to do whatever it is I'm setting out to do. The pandemic really put me in that position because if I would have went the corporate route, I kind of would have just probably stayed there because I'm the type of person who takes very calculated risks. So from the outside looking in, if somebody sees me, they're like, dang, Houston's just kind of spontaneous. He does this, that, and third. But like best believe the risks I'm taking, I got a backup plan and a backup plan for that backup plan and something else in case that goes south too. Like I'm always that type of thinker. So this was the first time where it was like, I'm gonna do this and I don't have a backup plan. And that's something that I'm still working through right now. And it's just like learning like, all right, Lord, I trust you. Like what's the next move? Because I'm the type like it's hard for me to move if I can't see what the outcome is, not even see what the outcome is, but see how I'm going to get to the outcome. I can always kind of see what the outcome is like, but like if I don't have the steps on how to do that, it's hard for me to move. So this is the first time in my life I've put myself in a situation where it's like, bro, you don't have a backup plan. These steps this route that you're taking, there is nobody that's going to be able to coach you up on it. You kind of just got to make these moves yourself. And so I'm in a stage right now where I'm learning to get comfortable with trying things and failing them. So I'm
being okay with failure.
Yeah, and that's very hard for me because you talking about a kid who didn't get his first B till he probably was like a sophomore or something in high school. Like I straight A student, like I never got in trouble like that, stuff like that. I was very much so by the book and a lot of things. But as I got older, I realized like the only way to get to the level of success that I want to is you're gonna have to fail. And it's the scariest thing because our society up until this point has taught us in our age group that like failure is not okay. Like you don't like you want to be, but like if you think about everybody who's ever actually achieved anything significant in life, they failed a lot.
First time.
They don't ever. And so I'm learning now to try. If you have an idea, if you got something you want to do, try it out. And I will say this too, really put actual effort into what you're doing. Cause I think the season that I'm going through right now, if I'm being quite frank, with the fam, we've kind of run into a little bit of a rush patch, and we're
With the what?
a little bit of a rough patch, and we're kind of pivoting, figuring out what the next move is for us and what we're doing. But the reason why I found is because I wasn't really giving full effort into the things that I was saying I was doing. Like, sure, you can have other people for, but at the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, like,
you.
yeah, did you give everything that you say you was gonna do? And
you said, what is this? What is this behind?
The fam, the Haynes Advantage Fitness and Motivation. So we are a family of trainers breaking generational curses through generational fitness. What that means is our advantage in us is God, and we feel like it is our duty to share his love to any and everybody through the form of living a fit, healthy lifestyle, being holistic in the mind, body, and spirit, and trying to help people kind of cultivate that and live the best life that they can. And so our real goal is like kind of just changing the way people view fitness, because in a lot of ways we view fitness as kind of a goal-oriented thing. I want my body to look like this. I want to feel like, for the aesthetics and the superficials, when it's like it should just be about, I want to live a healthy lifestyle. Like, I want to make sure I can live healthy and enjoy life for as much as I can, as long as I can, and I can pass that on to my kids, especially being Black. Like, a lot of the times, one of the things I say all the time, like, a lot of times we're good looking people. Like, we just are. We have naturally nice bodies, but unfortunately, we kind of rest on that, and we don't do the things necessary to maintain that over the course of our lifetime. Being that it's no reason why, somebody as small as, say, my grandfather, for instance, who looks healthy. If you see him, you would have thought like, oh, he's the healthiest guy, but he passed from diabetes. Why? Eating habits are bad, never really worked out, you know what I'm saying? And that takes a toll on you after a while, especially if you're dealing with the stresses that come with living life and being Black. And so our whole mission is kind of just to change that for Black people. Let's get out, let's try things that we didn't have, let's work out consistently, let's treat our bodies like the temples that they are, which, understanding that this is a journey, because even myself, I'm on that journey too, as far as nutrition side, making the right decisions, different things like that. But just showing people that there's more to this than picking up some weight and putting it down.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
So we kind of, I had questions lined up.
Yeah. You can still shoot them if I'm going back and forth. My bad.
Which is cool. It's completely fine. But I think one question that I really want to ask you is, what is the advice that you would give that college student right now that's about to graduate, about to go out in the real world, about to go back home, or really just trying to figure out what they want to do? What's some advice you would give them?
It's a number of things. One, if you can, go back home and live with your parents and save up money. Because I've been talking to people, I've been learning stuff as I get older. I thought I was the coolest person in the world, leaving my house at 17 and going to go live in the real world. No, we're us and probably our Latin brothers and sisters are kind of one of the only groups that kind of just send their kids out there and say, go figure it out. It makes no sense financially. It puts us actually behind the 8 ball, which we already are behind if you want to get into this different stuff. So if you can, swallow your pride, go stay with somebody who's going to either give you rent for dirt cheap or for free while you figure out what it is that you want to do, or while you're accumulating revenue, so that way you can save it, put it into different investments, and then you do that for 3 to 5 years. And when you're ready to go live on your own, you have accumulated a lot of money and you can actually go live life the way you want to. There was a lot of times where I struggled, where I didn't need to, because I was just living on my own, trying to kind of keep up with the status quo of having my shit together. First of all, adult life, what I learned is nobody has anything together. That's the one thing I learned actually at the startup I was at, Bird, though, which made me really realize, like, bro, if they can do this, I can for sure do this. Because every single day we came in there, something was broken, something was new, something wasn't working the way we intended it to work before. And when you look at these companies, you think that, oh, they got everything together. They don't. From the top down, people don't know what's going on. We're just,
why it's continue business, why you got to keep working.
Exactly.
Work every
There is no such thing as a finished project. Once something is finished, it is dead. You're not dead. So figure stuff out, try different things. And then I will say, if you haven't done so already, network. I don't know how many hurdles that I've had to go through now because I didn't network in college, when I believe now that that's really the only reason why a young person should go to college, is to network with as many people as you can, because you're in a situation where you have a lot of great creative minds all grouped up all across different walks and different spans of life. You never know who you're going to meet that can contribute in a way to get you to where you need to go next. So I would say I'm a very sociable, antisocial person. And what I've learned over the past few years is like, that's not really how this thing works. You can't do anything on your own. You need to be able to collaborate and work with other people. And the best way to do that is to network with those around you and try to find commonalities and build relationships with others, because you might have what somebody needs for something, and that very bright person might have exactly what you need to get over the hump of whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I think those would be my top 3 things. Save money, go live at home. Don't get you nothing crazy for the first few years, because you're 21, 22. If you're not really in the league or making crazy amount of money, like, save your money, bro. It's not worth it to go buy the newest car, newest chain. Like, grind. And it really takes
time.
1, 2, maybe 3 years of your life, if you're really just grinding, for you to look like an overnight success. And so that, network with as many people as you can, and then live life, bro. Try something new. If you're from a small town and you didn't really get out of your hometown like that, maybe go live somewhere else, because that is going to challenge you. Unless you have an opportunity to save money, then go home, save money, then go live somewhere else. But try different things, man. Make sure that what you're doing is what you actually love to do, because, and I think now is the best time than ever with our generation. We're coming up, we're seeing how our parents couldn't stand their lives, couldn't, aren't really satisfied with what they're doing. And we have an opportunity to change that for ourselves and the people that come from underneath us. One thing I learned through this pandemic, you can make money doing absolutely anything. Like, absolutely anything. So, and one thing that my mom always used to tell me is, never worry about the money. Do what you love to do, and then the money will come. So figure out, if you don't know what you're doing, like me, if you're still trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what is my passion? What do I like doing? How can I monetize that? Only way you'll know is to try some different things out, maybe get some perspective from some people. That's why your network is important. Talk to them, figure out what it is that you like, so that way you can go on to do great things.
Okay, well, that leads me to my last question. Last question of the day, last question of the night. What is important to you? When I first met you, it was football, but now that you've graduated, you've been back home for a couple years, and you've got your own business going with your family, what is the most important thing to you right now?
Okay. Number of things, I would say, obviously, right off the top, my faith. Secondly, my family. Right now, in this specific season of life, for me, is self-development. I have always kind of been an introspective person, but I've also kind of done a lot of things because of what I thought people expected of me. And I'm getting into this season of life of, like, really trying to figure out who I am, learning a lot about my mental health, my emotional state of being, what am I truly living for? And if you can figure that stuff out while you're a little bit younger, and it's always ever changing, but if you can do a deep dive and introspective self, look at yourself while you're younger, that's always better. But what's most important to me right now is making sure I don't settle, and making sure I'm figuring out myself the best way I can, so I can help others the best way I can. And I think until you truly know who you are as an individual, you're never really going to have the impact that you really want. Like, you can, but it may not last long, and it may not be as deep of an impact as you want. And you'll know because you'll feel it. There's nothing worse than, I would say, like, how I looked those first couple years out of college where it's like, dang, Houston's doing it. He's working, he got some money, he chilling, living life. But I wasn't happy. I looked happy on the gram and social media and everything like that, but it's like I wasn't happy. So now I'm working to have that happiness, that I'm making sure that I'm satisfied with where I'm at. And I'm not quite there yet, but that is the focus. That's the goal. That's what we're working to.
Man, that's a great answer. I feel like you answered kind of the things that are important to me right now as well. But all in all, Houston, I appreciate you. Those for coming on to the show. Actually got right here already what the title of the show is going to be. It's going to be Faith Over Fear.
I love that.
I've been hearing you talk, so I jotted that down. Definitely when I heard you say that. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on, man. Definitely got to come back out to the California. I just came back.
Come through, family.
The tacos is calling my name.
You feel me? Come through, get some tacos, chill at the beach. Have a good time.
Hear me? Hey, so it was good, man. It's good. We gotta do this again, bro. We gotta do this again.
I feel like we just kind of touched the surface of some things.
I know, yeah, man.
If you need me back on the show, we could run it back. I ain't tripping.
Couple shots out there. So yeah, bro, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you most definitely. This is a Pro Life podcast. This is episode 6. Everybody, make sure you tune in to the next episodes. Daddy, I love you. Devin, Daddy loves you. Appreciate you, bro.
Beautiful, yes, sir. All right, my man.
Sir, yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, man. Everybody out there in the world, man. I know it's a Thanksgiving episode. If it comes out before or afterwards, whatever the case may be. I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. All right.
Yeah.